I'm Annika. I am in Sun City, El Paso, Texas at Fort Bliss. My 7-month-old puppies are insane, as you can tell. We'll see how they do for the next 10 to 15 minutes. So today I want to be talking about something that every single couple deals with, miscommunication. And surprisingly, this can be a pretty touchy subject for some people. Many might not even want to deal with marriage communication problems. But if you don't deal with communication, it leads to more miscommunication. And as most of you know, no matter who you are in any relationship, especially marriage, there are going to be communication problems. And it's so common. People just don't realize how common it can be. And one spouse, he really wants inside. One spouse might say or do something that is confusing, rude, whatever, and the other person, wife or husband, either takes it the wrong way or just lashes out on their spouse. And if you have an example of common miscommunication as a military spouse, nothing too personal, go ahead and leave a comment on this Facebook Live. And if you're listening to this later on the podcast version, go ahead and click on the link in the show notes to hop on over to this post to share your thoughts. And just a disclaimer, these tips are just for verbal miscommunication. This does not apply to any type of abuse, verbal, physical, or otherwise. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, here's one example that I came up with, and bear with me. Let's say a military husband tells his wife he's going to be home in 20 minutes. So at this time of day, you're probably getting dinner figured out, maybe rushing a bit to make sure it's ready. Maybe you even make up the plates when he's almost home, so you have everything ready within that 20 minutes. 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40, 50 minutes rolls by, and he finally calls and says, something happened, he got pulled back in last minute, and he'll be home a lot later than expected. This situation is out of your husband's control. It can be very frustrating, and our feelings are still valid in that situation. But the wife has some options in how she is going to react to this news. So she can either get sad and cry, she can get angry and start yelling, she can do both, or she can take these tips that I'm about to give y'all and apply it to that situation. So let's jump in. The first tip is to stay calm. As many of y'all are probably thinking, including myself, this is easier said than done during miscommunication. And in some situations, it's like me telling you not to get an adrenaline rush while on a roller coaster. But during stressful times of miscommunication, I strongly encourage you, find a technique that works for you, that helps you calm down when you're feeling anxious or frustrated. So maybe your personality can automatically calm down on the spot, and that's awesome, but that's not common. And during that situation, it can just affect so much. So these calming techniques, it can be a form of self-care. It can be going for a walk. It can even be taking a nap. For me personally, in stressful situations, I like doing deep breathing exercises, which is a form of self-care. So I breathe in for 5 seconds with my belly, use my belly, not my chest, hold it in for 5 seconds, and then I blow out as long as I can. And there are many different types of deep breathing. If that's something that's interesting to you, definitely look into different types of deep breathing. Deep breathing helps me control my emotions, and it gives me a lot of clarity in tough situations. Because when my breathing is out of control and I'm stressed and don't know what to do, and I start deep breathing, it helps give me clarity and it gives me some peace. And if you have the personality to lash out, yell, say things that are hurtful, definitely find a technique that works for you. We're all different. We all have ways to calm down. So this leads into tip number 2, using the next tip to actually talk during the miscommunication. Use I feel statements, not you are statements. And what do I mean by that? Well, when having a conversation with your spouse, it can be really unhealthy to accuse them or tell them, you always do that. Why couldn't you do this better? So when you're doing this and you're accusing them or saying, why can't you be better? You're accusing your spouse of something and they're going to be defensive because you're tearing apart their character. And this will end up leading to more fights, more stress, more tears, unfortunately. And instead of doing this, we can use statements such as, when you did this, it made me feel upset, hurt, whatever it might be. Or you can say, hey, I felt really frustrated when you said that you would be home in 20 minutes and you weren't. Using these I feel statements, it lifts any possible accusation off your spouse and it focuses on your feelings. So your spouse, when you say this, your spouse might immediately say, oh my gosh, that was not my intention. Or they might apologize if they were in the wrong, and they'll recognize that what happened really did affect how you felt. And this was one of the best pieces of marriage advice that I ever got. So I'm going to be honest. I used to be the personality where I would tell my husband, oh, you always do this. And I would be the one to do that. You always do that. And trust me when I tell you, that does not help the situation at all. So I've taken this advice and I have applied it and I've practiced it. And now I'm able to calmly tell my husband, hey, I felt pretty lousy when you did X, Y, or Z, or when this situation happened. And most, if not all the time, he just quickly apologizes, tells me, oh my gosh, that was not my intention. Let's figure out how we can work on this. And he tells me that he would never purposely make me feel that way, which helps me feel better because now he's validated my feelings and we can move on and work on the situation. So spouses, we are all human. We all make mistakes, and sometimes we need to be the ones to apologize. So my third tip, do not be afraid to say, I'm sorry. And I get it. It can be really tough. If you think that you are so in the right and you just have this bubble around you that you are right, you are always right, that can not lead to very good things. We need to realize that we need to take a step back. We need to see, did I mess up in any way? Let's figure out if we are willing to apologize in how we messed up in any sort of way. Whether we lash out at our spouse, whatever it might be, being able to step back and say, ooh, I really was in the wrong here. I shouldn't have responded that way. I shouldn't have done this. Being able to apologize and owning up to your mistakes, it shows your spouse that you're equals, that you respect each other's feelings, and that you're not constantly telling your spouse that they need to be the ones to apologize when you're always right. That's not really how an equal marriage needs to be. To recap, the 3 tips for miscommunication: stay calm, use I feel statements, and being able to say, I'm sorry. And of course, this isn't a magical recipe that will solve every single situation, but using these tips can definitely help relieve some stress in these situations. All right, I know I just said that we have 3, but I have a little bonus tip, and I had some inspiration to add this. And it's not necessarily for miscommunication, but just in general as a military spouse, and it will help with communication. Many times we can forget that our husbands or wives are serving the country and are often put in very difficult situations. We just forget, and different situations happen and we get frustrated, and even if it's out of our control, it becomes more and more stressful. The best thing that we can do as spouses is just to be there for our spouse, just to support them no matter what. Their jobs, maybe your job, is stressful enough. Having added stress in the home life, it can cause turmoil in all aspects of life, including your work. So being able to go home and have support and love for each other, it can actually help them and help you with your jobs. So like the scenario at the beginning, the husband got home a lot later than he said he would. The wife could use these tips. She could remain calm, she could use I feel statements, possibly apologize if she did react poorly the first time, and also just support him during that situation. Well, we are coming to the close. I hope that y'all are having a fantastic day. Here at Army Wife Network, we are here to support you. We have so many incredible articles and resources on our website, armywifenetwork.com. So if you're new to this life, to a new duty station, or you're still just trying to figure out what the heck is going on, even if you're 10 years in, go ahead and go over to armywifenetwork.com. We're here to help and serve y'all. Educate, encourage, empower. This is your Army Wife Command Team signing out.